Hello, I'm Cara Dahl Russell. I'm happy today to be giving you a brief introduction to a work by Antonio Vivaldi, who lived from 1678 to 1741. His work, a concerto for two cellos. When I first gave this talk live in 2017 for the Mid-Atlantic Symphony, this work was part of a program of 4 shorter works. And the framework for that had been father-son relationships, the changing in generations, as well as the overriding maleness of the musical world. It's worth mentioning that in the classical era, with its house orchestras and regimented lifestyle, it was often very good for musicians. For Leopold Mozart, for Salieri, and for many other generational musical families like the Bachs and the Haydns, the stability of being a musical servant, of working in these servant orchestras, meant a very stable and comfortable lifestyle, and even a longer life, and it often meant having a curated catalog of works, or at least a collection of the works in one place. For most of his life, Vivaldi had one of these very stable lifetime positions and large musical output. Johann Sebastian Bach admired and transcribed the work of his contemporary Vivaldi. Mozart studied and revered Bach. So with this Vivaldi work, we have an example of the sound and structure of generations before Mozart, work that would have influenced both Mozart and his father Leopold. However mainstream Vivaldi was in his lifetime and influential for other musicians such as Bach, his music faded almost entirely within one generation and was ignored for almost a century. When Milton Cross published the second edition of his masterwork, The Great Composers and Their Music, in 1962, Vivaldi was not even included in it. In the 1960s, the study of early music and original instruments was really just taking root. People like Glenn Gould were a part of this movement, and by the 1980s, conservatories were beginning to develop departments devoted to historical music, original instruments, and historical performance practice. This is when we really had the full rediscovery of Vivaldi, and the resulting use of his music in film scores solidified the interest in his music. Of course, because he wrote for the orchestra of La Pieta, an orphanage for young women, we have the irony of in this normally completely male-dominated world of music for more than a century, very male-dominated, Vivaldi's music was being written for and played by young women. The sexy moniker of the Red Priest, because of his red hair, and innuendos about his having charge of an orchestra of talented young convent women, was made the most of. These were publicity tools for early music ensembles to help make him seem relevant and a sexy bad boy. Today, I suggest we should rethink that, in light of today's awareness of abuse of position. He was a priest and abbot, and there is no historical evidence or even anecdotes of anything less than good conduct that can be proved. Just his amazing talent as a violinist, composer, teacher, and conductor. For more information on the life of Vivaldi, I'd like to refer you to my lecture about his major work, The Four Seasons. I go much more into depth about some of the details of his life and suppositions as well. But for now, enjoy his Concerto for Two Cellos. Thank you.